Okay, perfect. Yeah, Peter told me to hype up the room a little bit. I know we're going down. I know everyone's tired. We have two more games that are still presenting. So I hope we can get at the peak of our mind again and kind of like just crank through this, and then we can have lunch. I think I'm going to try to keep it really concise, really short, so we kind of get the idea of what PixeLAW is, and then you can also make up your mind if this is something you want to work on or not. Okay, so what is PixeLAW? So we define PixeLAW as a pixel-based autonomous world. But to be honest, I think that kind of goes back to the previous question because I don't really know what this is either. Because what is that? What is a pixel-based autonomous world? Actually, what PixeLAW is a set of it's a set of coordinates that is visualized as pixels, where any developer can deploy any kind of game or app to this world, and kind of change the way the coordinates look and behave. And this is what it looks like now. So it looks really cranky, and you might see some of the culture already coming through. But let me kind of put into perspective what this actually is. So if we made this video, I hope it kind of works. We don't need the audio on this one, actually. Yeah. I hope, yeah, okay, perfect. So you can see kind of the world of PixeLAW. So it's a bunch of images. You can see already a bunch of culture coming through. And on the right, you can see the apps that we've already built that have either been built by us or by other people. So in this case, you can see apps like Snake, like Paint. You can see apps like Minesweeper that have been built by different kind of people and teams. And I think that already kind of like shows that we have this one layer that kind of shows where you can interact with different kind of games. But this, to be honest, is kind of simple because you kind of have then coexisting games. But the whole idea of PixeLAW is that you can have these games actually being interoperable and change and impact each other. So here's also Tic-Tac-Toe, you have Hunter, you have Pixel 2048. Here you actually play against an AI that is fully on chain. So this is kind of already cool stuff. You can only see the AIs, I don't know, I've just tied against an AI on chain. So kind of that's the way that we've kind of looked at PixeLAW as this pixel layer with different kind of apps at the same time. So what does this make? What does this enable players and developers to do? So players can actually then shape and interact with this persistent world on this pixel layer state, and they can experience the result of collaborative game design. Because if you think through the idea of PixeLAW, you will quickly realize that many different games coexist and should be interoperable. And what can that enable players to experience and also developers to build? Because developers in this case can permissionlessly build games and apps that natively interact with each other. They can utilize their automatic front end, so they only have to build a smart contract. And I think in this case, right, if you think of a 2-day hackathon and you think of building a front end as well as a smart contract, that takes a lot of time. In this case, you only have to build a smart contract, which is, I think, for us a big pro. The last bit, you can also access a pool of existing players. And I think that's not such a huge argument as of yet, because we kind of released like a few weeks ago, and we had a few players on this already, but we're just kind of currently extending the world because our focus is to focus more on developers at this point, because we're going to build a really rich and really interactive and really autonomous world. So we've eight apps were already built, not only by us, but also by other teams. We had one Farcaster frame being built, and we had actually two teams already built 2 different games that interact with each other. In this case, it was a Snake, and it was the game 2048. And the more you think about it, I hope also the more you realize what kind of cool things you can build with this. And this is our PixeLAW book. So you have a start. If you want to start anywhere, you should start here. And I'm also going to send the link in the presentation at the very end. What do we want you to build? What do we want you to focus on? So in one case, it's obviously the interoperability aspect, right? We have an app like Paint, we have Minesweeper, we have Rock, Paper, Scissors, we have Snake, we have Tic-Tac-Toe, we have 2048, we have a game called Hunter. And if you look at these different kind of games, you'll see, that's a work in progress, that Snake is trying to interact with all of these. It consumes a Paint pixel, it consumes a Minesweeper pixel. So you can see that kind of starts interacting with all these different kind of other games. And now we would like to think what kind of game can you build, right? These games can be very, very simple. We have a lot of different kind of examples. So you can kind of like take a lot of code, you can kind of experience, you can try it out. And how does my game interact with all these other games? And I think this is really cool, because I think this enables you, if you have 2 different teams here that build 2 different kind of games, maybe you should sit next to each other and think how both of your games actually interact with each other and have cool kind of new game design that we haven't really seen of yet before. And that's kind of one of the ideas. If you want to go very hard, you can also build entirely your own front end. You can use the coordinates that we have and kind of build your own front end to it. That's also totally up to you. You can do different kind of games where you have that event or time-based, right? Where you have two teams that interact and compete at the same time. You don't have to read through all of this, but just an idea of having event or time-based games. You can also have a way of like, if you look at these kind of set of on-chain coordinates, they're all very empty right now. If there's no image, if there's no other game right now, it's a really empty world. Maybe think about how can you populate this world to make it interesting. Many things to think about. Just an example of like how you are discovering slowly dark forest, what is out there. And I think the same idea goes for PixeLAW as well. And lastly, I think if you think about combat system, how can I turn PixeLAW into an RTS? I think the idea of like utilizing all the existing games to fight against each other is really cool as well. Can I build a snake that attacks another person's castle? Can I use Minesweeper to protect my castle because there are bombs? And so I think you can think very creatively about these things, and I think now is the time to do that. And yeah, so if you want to start anywhere, start at the PixeLAW book. That's the link. I hope we share the presentation later, but this is where you can start. And sorry, yeah, I mean, if someone wants to scan this, feel free. But it also will be available later. If you want to play it, we actually have two versions, but this is the version I would point you to right now. This version is built on Dojo. It has all the 8 apps that I showed you. It works, you can interact with it, you can go crazy, you can draw your own images, and just try it out. And I think that's as far as I want to go. So thanks for being here. Thanks for giving me attention. And yeah, go ham on PixeLAW. Thanks.